Myth or real, Sun Tzu is undoubtedly one of the most influential figures in military and philosophical history. He is revered as the author of The Art of War, a work that has been studied and applied for centuries, not only in battles but also in fields such as politics, business, and psychology. His philosophy of leadership and strategy has transcended the boundaries of war, impacting various areas of modern life. The truth about Sun Tzu is shrouded in mystery. The name Sun Tzu may be a pseudonym, a title given to a group of strategic thinkers, or even a symbolic figure representing the collective wisdom of many strategists. The big question that looms over him is, did Sun Tzu actually exist, or is he just a legend representing the strategic thinking of his time? Let's discover the origin of Sun Tzu, analyze the relevance of the art of war over the centuries, and reflect on the cultural impact he left, regardless of his real existence. Stay with us until the end, as this journey will challenge what you know about strategy, war, and wisdom. The first mention of Sun Tzu appears in the historical records of Sima Qian, one of the most important texts in Chinese history. However, there are not many concrete details about his life. The name Sun Tzu means Master Sun, and it is possible it was used as a title for a collective strategist rather than a single person. In his work, The Art of War, Sun Tzu presents the principles of strategic warfare that in turn became more than just a military manual, but a reflection of Chinese philosophy on leadership, justice, and the pursuit of balance. The Art of War has become one of the most influential works. But does it reflect the wisdom of a single man, or is it a representation of a school of strategic thought? The work has been adapted over the centuries and incorporated by various strategists and rulers. In older and historical texts, it is suggested that Sun Tzu served as a military advisor to the king of Wu, which may suggest he was indeed a historical figure, but his military victories may have been exaggerated over time. Various generals and strategists from ancient China may have influenced the figure of Sun Tzu. For example, Wu Qi, a prominent general, and Li Quan, another military thinker of the time, likely influenced Sun Tzu's strategic thinking. These men were great leaders, and many of their achievements may have been attributed to Sun Tzu in later texts, or incorporated into the philosophy of the art of war. Wu Qi was a general of the state of Sichu during the spring and autumn period. He implemented several military reforms that were incredibly effective. His philosophy of indirect warfare, where the enemy is weakened before a direct attack, bears a strong resemblance to the approach of the art of war. Another example is Guan Zhong, a statesman and strategist who served as an advisor to Duke Huan of Qi. His ability to unite different factions for strategic victory may have influenced Sun Tzu's teachings on the importance of uniting allies before engaging in war. Sun Tzu lived during a period of great political and social transformations in China, when small kingdoms were constantly involved in disputes. During the spring and autumn period, the feudal system was dominant, and every king or lord needed an effective military strategy to conquer and maintain power. War was a matter of survival, and the ability to think strategically could determine the success or failure of a nation. China was fragmented into small states that were constantly at war, which created the perfect scenario for the emergence of strategic thinkers like Sun Tzu, whose teachings helped define the future of military art. The kingdom of Wu, where Sun Tzu supposedly served, was one of the major states involved in these disputes, and his strategy helped Wu consolidate itself as a military power. As the centuries passed, the legend of Sun Tzu became increasingly detached from reality. The art of war was translated and reinterpreted by generals from different eras, but the figure of Sun Tzu became more mythical than historical. The work was continuously adapted to reflect the strategic needs of different cultures and contexts. The legend of Sun Tzu came to be seen as a representation of universal wisdom, a symbol of intelligence and skill on the battlefield, but also of leadership and emotional control. Sun Tzu is not the only important character in his work. Throughout the text, He mentions other concepts and figures that reflect values such as wisdom, courage, and loyalty. The generals, who were actually important political and military figures, also symbolize the lessons he proposes. The importance of being unpredictable, of knowing the terrain, and of understanding the enemy are fundamental points. Napoleon Bonaparte, for example, is a great example of someone who applied Sun Tzu's lessons in his battles. He understood that war was not just about strength, but about mobility, energy, and maneuvers. He used the idea of winning without fighting by deceiving his enemies with quick and unexpected movements. The art of war became a reference not only in the military field, but also in politics and business. His work was adopted by political leaders like Mao Zedong and by businessmen like Steve Jobs, who applied his principles in their strategic decisions. Mao Zedong, the communist leader of China, frequently cited the art of war as a strategic guide, using the principles of asymmetric warfare to defeat a stronger enemy, such as the Chinese nationalists and the Japanese armies. He adapted Sun Tzu's concepts for revolutionary warfare. Big names in business, like Elon Musk, also applied Sun Tzu's teachings. Musk, for example, uses the strategy of knowing the terrain to adapt to technological changes and be flexible in business strategies. Sun Tzu is not the only brilliant strategist in history. Other mythical figures, like Alexander the Great and Genghis Khan, also employed revolutionary military strategies. Each of these leaders incorporated different elements of Sun Tzu's philosophy, reflecting the universality of his teachings. Genghis Khan applied concepts similar to those in the art of war, especially in terms of utilizing the psychology of the enemy and choosing the right moment to attack, something Sun Tzu emphasizes as being crucial for military success. The central doubt persists. Was Sun Tzu real, or does he represent a sum of brilliant minds? Regardless, the impact of his ideas is undeniable. Even if he never existed as a single figure, his philosophy remains relevant. Sun Tzu taught us that the greatest battle we can fight is against ourselves. Understanding our own limits, recognizing our weaknesses, and above all, understanding the terrain we are fighting on. What do you think? Was Sun Tzu a brilliant strategist or a literary construction that just happened to work? If you enjoyed this video and want more content about historical figures who challenge our understanding of the past, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications so you don't miss new videos. Because, in the end, the question is always the same. Is it myth or real?